herb it up, and we love to do things herbally and naturally. I love helping you gain and improve your health through essential oils, herbs, and real food. And so tea tree oil, or melaleuca, is what we're going to focus on today. It's one of probably the most well-known and probably most heard of oils, and you can find it in a variety of places. Make sure though that you do try to find an oil that is undiluted and it's not adulterated, so that it's a good oil. So find a brand that you think is safe and a good quality oil. I don't necessarily like the smell of tea tree oil, but I love the properties. So tea tree oil itself does have a very clean smelling, woodsy, earthy scent, almost a hint of lemon, but it's kind of a chemical scent. A friend of mine had some and she kept saying she loved tea tree oil. I thought she was a little crazy, but everybody has their differences and we all like different smells and different oils. So I thought, well, we're just different. Well, then later she got some oil that was a very good quality oil, and she was saying, I don't know what I had to begin with, but it had a sweet smell and it smelled nothing like this tea tree oil. So if your tea tree oil has a sweet smell, then you may want to make sure that it is real tea tree oil. So just a little heads up there. I'm not really sure what's out there. Most of the ones that I have tried, they smell pretty similar, but again, it does have a clean, fresh scent. It's a very distinctive smell. Once you smell it, you're going to know it. And I think it is probably one that people either really like or really hate. It's kind of no in the middle. But it has a ton of good qualities, and that's what I want to focus on today. And so I use it even though I'm not crazy about the smell. It is good to diffuse. So if you aren't crazy about the smell, you can blend it with other oils, and it does blend with a ton of different oils, and it has a good scent in blends. It's not overpowering. But why would you want to diffuse it? Well, it's good to diffuse because it's very cleansing and very purifying. It's going to really cleanse the air. So if you've been cooking and you burnt some food maybe, it's going to help cleanse and purify the air. It would be good to mix with some of the lemon or some of the citrus, those kind of things that are also cleansing. And so that's another way that you could use it, or that's one of the ways you can use it. It's also great because of the cleansing and purifying properties. It has a ton of antimicrobial properties to it. It is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, so it's great with mold and mildew. So if you're going to have an area that is just damp and wet and has kind of just a musty smell, or maybe an area that's been closed up for a while, maybe even a bathroom that is just kind of wet a lot or has a mildew smell, or maybe you have problems with that, you can definitely diffuse it in these rooms. It's going to help clean that and purify that. I used to use it in a cleaner that I would do for my hot tub that had the circulating water, because the mold would get in there and it would just help cleanse that out, and it would really help make the bathroom smell cleaner and fresher. And so that is a great way to use it, because typically you're not going to hopefully be in the bathroom all day long where you're smelling it if you aren't crazy about the smell. But when you diffuse it in a room like that, it does have just a cleansing and just a good smell that you walk in. It's like, oh, it just smells kind of clean and fresh in here. And so it's great for those areas because it actually cleanses the air by killing those germs and not just masking them. And so also mold. I've just mentioned that it's great for that. So a lot of DIY mold remedies, it's useful for that. I've just recently used one of those because, you know, mold, it grows, it's wet, damp environments. It's very easy to have and it's easy to take care of, because melaleuca or tea tree oil is not just going to bleach it and leave the mold there as some things do. It is actually going to kill the mold and stop the problem, and that's what we want to do. We don't just want to cover it up or make it look like it's gone away. So tea tree oil is really good for those circumstances. So it's great to diffuse. Again, you can diffuse it in a room, in a blend, or you can use it specifically for those type of areas. And it's considered pretty safe to diffuse, even around kids. It's not a big deal, and so that is one way that you're going to use it. And as far as young children, you probably don't want to use it direct inhalation, but there's not many times that you're going to use it for that way anyway. It's just going to be diffused to purify and cleanse the air. It's even great in times of sickness to cleanse and purify the air in that way too. Another way that it's used is topically, and this is how we have used it quite a bit. It is amazing at its disinfectant and just the, like I said, the antimicrobial properties that it has. So if you have a cut, a burn, any kind of wound, you can apply it to that, and it is really, really helpful at helping that heal quicker, kill any germs that are there, and it's just really going to help that. We use it in a salve that I make. I add that in at the end along with some other, a couple other oils and just a lot of herbs, and it works great on so many different skin problems, whether it's rashes or wounds or bruises, any kind of skin irritations, it's going to be great for. So that is one way that it can be used. And it's, when it comes to those skin things, you don't necessarily have to dilute it. It is one of the oils, one of the rare oils that you can actually use neat, which means that you don't have to use a carrier oil to dilute it. Now, I will say, if you're using it on a really small child, if you're using it on someone who has very sensitive skin, go ahead and dilute it. It's not going to hurt it to dilute it. If you're not really sure, then always dilute. And if you need it stronger, you can just add more until you work your way up to using it neat, or until you get it as strong of a dilution as you need. But it is considered safe to use it just straight without a carrier oil, especially if you're just going to be using it to specific areas of your body where you have a cut or something like that. And we've done that. It doesn't burn, it doesn't sting, and it really does help to kill the infections and just help those wounds heal very quickly. Another thing dealing with skin is acne. So if you have trouble with acne, you can use it just as a spot treatment, and you can use it neat that way. But if you have a lot of acne and you have a constant problem, you can mix it into a face wash or a lotion. You can even do an astringent and mix it in with witch hazel or with apple cider vinegar and use it as a toner. And it's going to work well if you're going to use it over a large area of skin over many days. Then that would probably be the best way to use it. But it's really going to help to cleanse that, and it's going to help to heal that. It's really, really good for that. So you're getting rid of the toxins and the chemical face washes, and you're using something that's healthy and safer and just as effective as those things. So it's great to use in that way too. So there's just a lot of different ways that you can use it. It's great for natural deodorants. I use it in my homemade deodorants that I use, and it's great at just killing the germs and bacteria that cause the odor, and so it's great to do that. And really, if you wanted to use it as a DIY deodorant, you really can just dilute it in coconut oil and use it that way, but then you can add some other stuff to it too, which is what I do. So just a wide variety of different ways that you can use it. Also, for your hair, you can use it if you have dandruff or if you have problems with lice. Hopefully you don't, but we know as kids sometimes that happens, and it really does repel the lice and helps to get rid of that. It also repels other animals and vermin. So if you have little rodents or if you have insects that you don't like, try spraying some tea tree oil around, because it does repel them. But especially lice, it's good for that, and it is good for dandruff. You can apply that, especially tea tree oil with some honey mixed in and left on the scalp for a few minutes and then rinsed out, is wonderful for dandruff. So just a ton of ways to use tea tree oil. Now, I will say the last way of internal, I don't recommend tea tree oil be using internally, especially on children. There are some contraindications, possible side effects from using it internally, so I just stay away from that. And as for adults, I still don't really recommend tea tree oil internally. Some people do, but because of the possibilities of some side effects and contraindications, we avoid it. I prefer to get it all the uses that I need, either diffusing it or topically. And so just know yourself, do your research if you're going to try to use it internally. But it is great for, like I said, fungus, which includes candida and yeast, and that includes the oral thrush or oral yeast. And you can make a mouthwash out of it. You can even just make a mouthwash out of it for bad breath or just to help with oral hygiene, because it's great for that. So it can be used in those things, and very safely be used as a mouthwash, even a toothpaste. But I would just recommend, if you're going to use it that way, use it with someone who is old enough to know to spit it out and not to swallow it, just because of those possible side effects that can happen. I know a lot of cancer patients get thrush, and so that is one of the side effects from some of the treatments. And tea tree oil can be a very safe and very healthy remedy for that oral thrush, and can really help them out. And definitely it's one that you want to have on hand because of the myriad of benefits of it. So even if you're not crazy about the smell of it like me, it is one that is near and dear to my heart because we do use it very often. So that's it, wrapping it up today. I hope that y'all have a great afternoon, and I will see you hopefully later this week, but if not, next week. And as always, keep herbing it up.